Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's January 11th of 2024, and it's almost 11 p.m. I have been busy all day today. Well, in the last few days, I've been busy moving stuff around, changing things, which I do all the time. There's, I think, something wrong with me. I, it's work, and I'm not really in the condition to be working, but I still do it. Um, See if I can drink this without hitting the microphone. Now you can see I'm using the headset, and it's the USB version. So that's the one with the lights on the side. I'll probably go back to that other microphone that you like so well, but for right now I'm hooking up various things, trying various things. Uh, I've gone through a number of changes here. I think this one, okay, this back here is the third desk. What I've had here is, two desks that are identical, one here and then one over here, except, well, it just came back to here, and that's it, right? That was in front of it. I now have the two desk, one here, and this one over here has moved all the way to the front to enable me to mount the thing on here so that the microphone would work and with a cable. But then right now I'm using the headset. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I've made a number of changes. I'm using the old Dell computer. Let me talk about it, because only one person said anything. um, but I actually agree with the guy. He said, well, he put it like one, he didn't say you should not be uh, begging for money on YouTube's donate thing or whatever. He didn't actually put it that way. He put it much different. One line. Something to the effect of, so you're doing a PayPal donation thing for a Apple computer? That's all he said. Then I answered him back with a paragraph, not attacking him or anything, but just pointing out. I think what I was pointing out in that is that all of my life, I volunteered for various things. I was in the civil defense when civil defense was, that's when people were building bomb shelters, and that's when, so I was in civil defense. I was trained to be a radiological monitor, someone who would be hopefully in the shelter with you all, and then when the blast went off, they would send me out to get the radiation levels and come back. I jokingly remarked they'd have to be, pushing me out to go out, So anyway, I listed all these things that all my life, I've donated. Like when I was doing, for several years, I was doing, I don't know, maybe I should list these things in chronological order, but my mind is not, I'm too tired. Anyway, I was reviewing a lot of things on YouTube until they kicked me off. I talked about that in, it was hundreds of things. Hundreds. I think it was over 1,000. I think, I'm not sure about that. And almost all of those things that I got in, I gave away to people in the apartment complex here and to other people. I kept a few things. I got a bunch of tactical lights, the aluminum lights, that are really bright, and I got a bunch of those, but I gave those all away. Actually, to the point now, I gave them away to the maintenance guys that work here, and then one of them lost his, and I gave him another one. But I gave a whole bunch of that sort of stuff away. Did I keep anything? Well, I kept tactical flashlights, except I ended up with one because somebody else, needed one, and then my son took mine, and I don't have a tactical flashlight. And anyway, I gave away 90% or more of everything that I got in to review, and then I got kicked off. And the subject of that is, or the reason for, well, I never heard from, no, Amazon didn't contact me and say, we think you're doing such and such, or you're, whatever, nothing. Just bang, one day, one of the YouTubers that came here, said, Jim, what happened to all your, Amazon reviews? They're all gone. I went and looked, sure enough, they were gone. My complaint about that was with Amazon, although I never contacted them, to hell with them. I do have, like, I've sent my first electronic scale, one that the others, the old ones were, and I couldn't see the dial. But I got one of those to review, and I reviewed it, and I kept that, and it's still in my, my bathroom, and I'm still using it. But to show you on, like, the YouTube reviews, like on that, I would check back after a year or two whenever the battery went dead, and I would find the review that I did, and then I would update it, and not just with one thing, not just saying, well, it ran for 2 years or whatever. No, I have ran to such and such a date, ran to such and such a date, ran to, And so when it came time, when Amazon, cut me off, they didn't contact me ahead of time and say, we think we have a problem with you. They didn't say, I don't know what they would have said, but they, at least they should have sent a thing and said, well, we're on such and such a date, we are, deleting all of your reviews on Amazon, but you have until such and such a time to, to download them, because most of those YouTube videos, or most of those Amazon reviews, I made a video to go with it and uploaded those, and I would like to have those videos, Now the reason, they never told me the reason that I was, not allowed to do reviews anymore. But I think I know what it is, because the people who wanted stuff reviewed, an awful lot of those were young people in China, and a whole bunch of them would send things saying, actually I was getting hundreds of things saying, oh, you're the #1 reviewer on YouTube. I was not the #1, but I did go way up, but I wasn't anywhere near the #1 reviewer. I finally sort of figured out by talking to somebody in China, not voice, but emails or something. How come you people are saying, that I am, the #1 reviewer? Well, you're on the list. And I said, what list? So apparently what it was, somebody over there came up with a bright idea. Maybe they tried selling and it didn't work too well. So they thought, oh, okay, I'll make a list that people can download, or people can maybe get it printed out, and then for such and such a money. And so somehow, I think some people, reported me in, and that, I was a good reviewer, and so I was on their list, and then that got spread around. So that was, I think, one reason I had a bunch of Now I never did. I would have people usually from China, and usually I think young people. Now some of them would just send a message to, and even a lot of them even didn't know any better. They would send a email out, and they would make what do you call it, copies, or other people, went to somebody, but then you could look below and you could see everybody that they had sent this to. Like, oh, I would like for you to review, oh, you're one of the greatest reviewers, I'd like for you to review such and such for me. And then they would say something like, and I will send it to you if you promise me that I'll get, 5 stars or whatever. Or I'll send it to you to review, and $5 when when your review appears on there, and stuff like that. Stuff that was against the rules, for that. And I never did that, and I ignored those kind of people when they sent those things, and felt sorry for the ones that did the was it BCC or whatever that's down at the bottom of. I don't think I hardly ever use that. But anyway, so I knew there was going to be trouble or whatever, and I never did any of those. Now, what I did do, and this is where I think that I was perfectly right to do this, and I talked about this on my YouTube channel here someplace, and a whole bunch of you, every one of you that talked, made a comment, disagreed with me. Now, what I explained was, I reviewed things honestly, but that I knew that some of these people, young people in China, had, invested money in, they were told probably by companies that manufactured widgets or cameras or whatever, hey, if you buy, a dozen of our product, or 2 dozen, or 100, or whatever, and sure, we'll give you credit, or whatever they were doing over there. And that made these people really, really desperate to be, I would turn down any people that said I had to give them such and such a rating. But what I did do is, for some people who they were also desperate, you could just tell, oh, please, I got a bad, oh, please don't give me a bad review, because, I'll be destroyed. Nobody will buy. I buy things that, that have not 5 reviews sometimes, or 5, have, sometimes they have 4, even 3, and sometimes I'm satisfied, and sometimes I would think, hey, I should have read what the people said below, But anyway, so these people would contact me, and I'd say, that's okay. I just won't review your, your thing. They'd say, oh, thank you very much, And I mentioned that on, here, and every one of you disagreed with me. So I guess we're just in a different, I wasn't posting, I wasn't saying, hey, here's a product and it gets 5 stars. I wasn't, I wasn't doing that. But anyway, all of you disagreed with me. So now, of course, you can find reviews by me now, because not, I think they've changed around their whole system or whatever. By the way, did I ever keep stuff for myself? Yeah, Kel-Lite these flashlights. A company sent me, and I forget the name of it, but it's a name that if you're into computers you'd recognize. And they contacted me. I didn't contact them. I never contacted anybody and said, hey, send me something to review. Didn't do that. I just waited for them to contact me if they wanted to. But some company that put out a complete, not sure what you'd call it, a networking system or whatever, all the hardware. I mean, not a computer or anything, but all this hardware. And they sent me that, and I sold that, I reviewed it, and then I sold it. But no, didn't make, I got a lot of stuff. Let me think, God, gloves for picking stuff out of the oven, or off the stove that's hot, those, and I kept a couple pair of those. And one of the things, it's I think behind me, but I don't have any pants on, so I can't go over and show it to you. The things that you can pick up stuff with, like picking up trash or whatever. You have a thing here at the top that you can pick it up and whatever. I kept 2 or 3 of those, and they've been a godsend, especially with my arthritis and my back pain and all that kind of stuff. I don't, and the ex-wife is, wheelchair bound or whatever, so we got, sorry to say we got our money, but they, they were free. But anyway, the way YouTube is organized now, or the way Amazon is organized, I guess the way Amazon is organized, well, no, because you can take the links and put them on, Amazon. So I guess both of them are kind of partners or whatever. So I can post stuff. Maybe if you go to YouTube and you go to the information right under it, maybe if I try to post something there, maybe that wouldn't work. Maybe they still ban me. But on this site here, my site, you can go and there'll be a list of things that I would like to have, my wish list, if I've been a good boy, that I'm hoping that you guys would purchase it for me. And then there's other lists of things that are posted that I talk about that are good products, and that type of stuff. And if you click on it after you go there because of my link, then I would get, but I think they pay basically 1 to 3%, and I think 1 year I got $100 altogether. And $75, I think, of that was for 1 month. I think it was right before Christmas, but then you get paid the next month or something. So I'm not making any money off of Amazon, and I never did. Let me tell you, though, how I ended up reviewing on, did I say Amazon? Reviewing on, yeah, I guess it was Amazon. I went to my feet were and are, swollen. And my legs, and the circulation's very poor there. I got a scratch on my leg one time, and I ended up eight days in the hospital from a scratch on the leg, because proper circulation wasn't getting down there. I've talked about that. I left AMA. It's mentioned in previous videos. There's a lot of stuff in my previous videos, all true. Hang on a second. I went to my doctor for like my regular every 6 months. I usually don't do it every 6 months. I keep putting off. I do it, and then 6 months later I don't. I usually, I'm in no hurry to go to the doctor. Well, that's not smart, by the way. If you're somebody who needs to go once a year to the doctor, go once a year. If you're somebody like me who needs to go, twice a year to the doctor, do it, do those kind of things. Anyway, I went to the doctor, and my feet were swollen, and my legs were swollen. Well, there's I never heard of it before. I've heard of respiratory therapy and physical therapy and all this kind of stuff. There's something if your legs are swollen and it doesn't look good. They can send you. And I said no thanks. But the doctor said, well, at least try compression socks. And I said, okay. So I went and I ordered some off of, I'd never had something reviewed or whatever. I hadn't reviewed anything. And I ordered compression socks, and I got them, and then I put in there that, and I'm sure this is probably, I didn't name the doctor, but I put in that I'd gone and my feet were really swollen and my legs were swollen, and that the compression socks, seemed like they helped. And I got a email from the company that sold them to me saying, we really liked your review on Amazon. Tell us what size you wear and we'll send you, I don't know, 6 pair or something like that. And I got that. And that was the beginning. Then after that, when I bought things, I thought, maybe, But I think I've talked long enough about that. Let me move on to, okay, this is going to be a stupid idea. I mentioned the guy who, when this guy mentioned the thing about, in one line, he didn't say, you have no right doing this, putting other, but because on PayPal you can set up a fund to collect money, try to collect money from anybody that you want to. And it lasts for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, you can do another one, or you can do the same one over again, but it goes for 30 days, which I think is a good idea. Otherwise, it gets clogged up. I think that gives a better view. But I went there and I set one up, and one person gave $50, and he wanted to remain anonymous, which he did. Although if you set one up there, you're able to go over and see who that person is, but you're not, it doesn't appear on the thing. Unless the person, if the person checks, keep me anonymous, well then it's kept anonymous. So anyway, I got $50 from somebody, which, came in handy. I'm a poor man. Then I did one, I set one up, and it went for, it lasted, how long did I say those things last? A month, okay. Before the month was up, okay, about halfway through, nobody had donated. Of course, only one person donated the first time, and the second time, nobody. So about halfway through, I thought, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, and so I'm just going to stop doing it. So I stopped doing it, and then later on, I just set up another one a few days, a week, I don't know how long, a month ago, let's say. It doesn't matter. I set one up, and nobody's donated. And one person left that thing saying, because I put in the thing, let's find out if somebody who's 82 years of age, who has never touched an Apple product. Now you might be saying, Jim, I caught you, because I did mention that I ordered one in. One of the I forget which one it was. But I couldn't register. The first day I could not register with an Apple, ID, and so I couldn't even use it. So I just sent it back the next day, I guess. But so I'm still going to stick by the thing. I've never touched an Apple computer or a cell phone. When I went to Washington D.C. to see Washington D.C. for the first time, I really enjoyed that. I was there for 2 weeks with my oldest daughter and her husband, and I've been since I was in grade school. I've been a political fan. I stayed home. I skipped school to watch some of the some of the hearings and stuff like that they had, and all that kind of stuff. So, I was in Washington D.C. and then I saw, Congress and all kinds of stuff, So that was enjoyable. But I got sidetracked again. Anyway, so for this one that I put up, for this third one, I took the second one down. Nobody donated anybody, and I didn't go. It didn't expire. I cut it down after I think maybe 3 months or sooner, and then I decided to put another one up and ask for enough money to, which really not enough to get a Apple. You know, it was, I put a value of, put a thing of $1,000, which I didn't feel comfortable doing. I never felt comfortable from the very, from the very beginning doing it. But so I set it up for that, and then I put in the, in the wording that you can put. I put in there, I think I put, I feel a little uncomfortable doing this, but let's find out how a 82-year-old man who has never touched, an Apple product, and I said, there's stuff. Let's see what would happen if he had $1,000 and he got a Apple product. What would his YouTube videos look like? Would it be, better right away? Would he have a problem, whatever, And so I thought that was kind of cute, and I put that, but it did make this guy think it was cute. Probably didn't read it. But he left a comment a few days ago or whatever, and then I was sitting right here and wasn't mad at him or anything. I don't usually get mad at people. I've been doing this since 1982, and I think you could count on one hand the number of people that I've kicked off of my system. And one thing is because I'm really nice. I mean, there's still assholes out there that, just want to rile somebody up and stuff, but I think I still stand by. I think I probably kicked 5, if that many, off of my system, and we're talking back to 1982. So anyway, but I did put like a paragraph to reply to this guy, and I put in there. It's still online, and I'm going to leave it online because that's another thing. I don't delete things. There was some kid back in the the early '80s or whatever who threatened my kids or whatever, and I don't think I even deleted him, or maybe I did. And so anyway, what I put underneath, I could pull it up, couldn't I? Yeah, I could do that. I could pull it up, and you could, well, if I could find it. I don't know. I don't think I could find it. It's there in the last few days. But I pointed out to this person, hey, in 1982, I started one of the first computer bulletin board systems. Everybody was welcome to my site. I never deleted anybody. Blah 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 blah. I was in civil defense. Volunteered my time in civil defense. Volunteered to be trained as a radiological monitor. I was in the Ground Observer Corps watching for, from a post on top of an Army Record Center, watching for Russian aircraft. And this was in Kansas City, Missouri. And if I saw a Russian aircraft, I don't think I actually needed to be there. Not in the middle of the United States. I was in weather observers or whatever, trained by the weather department to be observers. And at that point, they didn't have they had amateur radio operators doing some of that stuff. But actually at that point, when I was trained to be a weather observer, well, what happened was we were in the Ground Observer Corps watching for the Air Force did away with the Ground Observer Corps. And so we were in civil defense, but then they decided that have us be weather observers or whatever. And up until that time, well, there was a tornado that hit in Ruskin Heights in the Kansas City area. Did a lot of damage, scared the hell out of people because it was very devastating. And years and years later, for about a year, I had a private patrol service of my own that I started up, and with me and my wife. And when I'd be on patrol, if the skies got cloudy or whatever, people were coming out. This is years and years and years later. Well, I was in grade school, I think, when maybe I was in high school. My mother was a nurse, so she went out to volunteer. Uh, so I don't remember if it was grade school or high school. But people would come out all these years later, and they'd be looking at the sky. So that shows you. So uh, I so okay. So I was a uh, Civil Defense Ground Observer Corps, weather observers. Okay, I was a reserve police officer for, I don't know, 9 or 10 years or something like that, and well, for the first 7 or 8 or whatever it was years, I patrolled Sunday night. You know, in the beginning all we had was, small town, and my night to patrol was Sunday, and I patrolled never missed a night. And then finally, when we started getting full-time officers hired in, like the first one to get hired in was for the midnight shift. So on Sunday, I would come in and start patrol. Well, it was up to me, I might come in at 5 p.m. if for some reason, or I'd come in at 7 p.m. And then it was up to me to decide when I wanted to go, when I wanted to turn the patrol car in, and there wouldn't be anybody for the city of Raymore, Missouri. And then when we finally got our first full-time officer, and he was a midnight shift, he was the midnight, I would stay over because, so he'd have somebody. I mean, I didn't have somebody when I was doing it for all those years, but I'd stay over because I just didn't feel comfortable, leaving, So I could do that because I arranged to make sure I had Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. I was still getting in. I worked the hospital that I worked for. I was working 2 12-hour shifts and 2 8-hour shifts. And I got my time in. And that gave me Monday off, so I was patrolling Monday night, and I could, do that. Anyway, I was, I don't know if you ever heard of people-to-people organization. I won't go into the details. I've talked about it, and I was, I never heard of it. I was contacted by the people-to-people organization. Hallmark Card's president started it. That was his. Well, Eisenhower made a speech someplace and said, something about, people to people. That's what we need to do, And then the Hallmark Card president or whatever contacted his buddy, President Eisenhower, and said, would it be okay if I set up a chapter? And the president said, sure. And so that was the first chapter. And I was contacted by them to be a member of the board of directors. And I said, sure. And basically, I seemed to me like I was, I was doing, okay, I did a shortwave publication that was free. I think there was it was free, I think. Well, people did pay. It was free. Anyway, it started in East Coast. Some guy did it for about a year or so, and then he needed somebody to take over, and I took over doing it and put it out every month. It took me, I was in high school or whatever. It took me a month to get it out. I used the dining room table, mimeograph machine. And then I would, I'd put all the stacks and then I'd walk around the table for hours, stacking them together and whatever. But, we promoted the club, World Friendship Through Shortwave. We had a rubber stamp you could buy. I set up all that, and I had there was a company downtown that made rubber stamps, for businesses. And so if somebody bought one, I would, go down and pick them, order them and pick them up. And so it was World Friendship Through Shortwave. Then we had a guy who did a column about exchanging your card that you use when you made the reception reports and that kind of all that kind of stuff. Anyway, stuff going on. And so, you know, we were doing World Friendship Through Shortwave. We were doing all kinds of things like that. And so that's why I guess Greenpeace, I don't know how, you know, no, people to people. So that's how I guess they contacted me. Now, at Mulebach Hotel, famous, you know, no longer there. I was probably still there, but they had the meeting. That's where I also held a convention that people came to Kansas City, Missouri, the first one, because I formed a, well, I can't waste the time, you know, having to do with shortwave radio and that kind of stuff. So people came for the thing and stayed at the Mulebach Hotel. Mulebach Hotel is where people to people had the thing for the swearing in of the I don't think they swore us in. And so I think there was about 40 of us. And okay, I don't think I was a kid. I wasn't very old. Because when I got old enough, you know, I worked all my life and oftentimes 2 jobs, and you know, so I don't think I had enough time to, I remember sending the, you know, having somebody else start the, or not start it, but continue the American Shortwave Listeners Club. But, by the way, there's a book about shortwave radio put out by a guy, I forget his name, I have a copy here someplace. I'm mentioned in it throughout it. But anyway, so now I didn't know much about business or anything like that, or anything. So anyway, the people to people contacted me and said, Mr. Howard, and explained it, and I said, sure. So I went down to Mulebach Hotel, and there was about 40 of us. Now there was news people there, all kinds of news people, and other people, but there were about 40 of us who were going to be the vice presidents or something. And like I said, I didn't know much, but I was there, and I was thinking, oh, I had already had I had formed a corporation when I was putting out one of my publications or something like that. And I've still got a copy, I think, laying around here someplace. I'm getting old and nobody cares, and it's all going to be thrown in the trash. But so I was there thinking, 40 vice presidents? You know, for my corporation, I had me and 2 of my friends that were into shortwave radio or something like that. Was it, you know, president and, I don't know, treasurer and somebody else, whatever it required to get a corporation thing in Missouri. And I thought, this, you know, so it was several months later that people to people, and they hadn't called on me, they hadn't had any more meetings or anything like that. I don't know if anything was going on or not, but I never said anything, I never contacted anybody, I never went to their offices or whatever. But I got a call from the secretary or somebody and said, we've run into a problem, we've got the board of directors or whatever, there's too many people in it, and we appreciate your service. Not that I did anything, you know. We appreciate your service, and so you'll no longer be a vice president. What kind of bugs me is I didn't care, you know. I had stuff going on. Shortwave radio, amateur radio, and all kinds of stuff. But what kind of bugged me just a few years ago, I thought, you know, they were there taking pictures and stuff, and there was articles in the Kansas City newspaper. In the morning it would have been the Kansas City Times, and at night would have been the Kansas City Star or something. And I thought they took pictures of us all, and there were reporters there. So I'd just like to see what was said, you know. And I went to search, and I don't think the Kansas City newspaper allows you, for obituaries, they will if the people who died were recent, you know. So I understand they have to make money, but I wanted to find something where I was mentioned or whatever, and it never found anything. Okay, so I set up this. Takes a while, doesn't it, to get to when you're my age. You're lucky I can remember what I'm doing. What's he doing? I don't know if he knows what he's doing. Be quiet. They don't want to know. Internet's and crazy. So anyway, now I threw myself off trying to. What's that comedian that does a really great voice? He's very popular. Seen him on so many venues that he. I thought I've been trying to copy that a little bit, not deliberately. It just pops up. Damn, I had some. Oh no, okay. So I put this thing up that donate through PayPal, and then one guy came in and you're collecting money, you know, and then I did this long thing underneath it, sort of like what I went through here, you know, of things that I've done, volunteer stuff that I've done, all types of service, you know. I didn't need to become an EMT to be working hospital security. I didn't need to do other things, you know, things that I voluntarily did. Now, when I was certifying hospital employees, the hospital contacted me. I already became an EMT, and then the new director of security, the other director of security did not like me. But anyway, the new director of security, well, he didn't like me either, because there was one guy at the hospital who, this new guy shows up he's the new director of security, and by that time I'm at this other small hospital. And the only time I go to the main hospital is every 2 or 3 months when we have a departmental meeting, but there's this one guy who's a supervisor, like a lieutenant. Well, they call him a charge officer because nurses that run a unit are charge nurses or whatever. But anyway, he spent all his time, every opportunity he had, bad-mouthing me, and there really was no reason for him to do it. Sure, he was going to follow orders from the director of security who was retiring to make sure I never went out to research Belton Hospital, where I could see the hospital just about from where I lived, and I wanted to go out there. And I ended up spending 9 years out there, but I had to do a grievance against this lieutenant, or whatever you want to call him, a charge officer or whatever, and he wasn't too happy with that. So he spent it, you know, when the new director of security came in, and he was very helpful, I'm sure, to the new director of security, because this guy also had that ability. He had the ability that I've seen a few times from people. He could meet you, and he would know your name, you know, your kids' names, and all this kind of stuff. And he just had it. I worked at the Dart Truck Company, and I'm not sure if their personnel department did Dart Truck and Kenworth, you know, trucks next door, if they had separate, you know. Well, I guess it was the same, so probably the same, because I got enough seniority down there that eventually I could have gone out of the Dart Truck division over into the Kenworth division, and I would have had my own little booth, my own table, my own little hoist that I got to hoist things up, my own welding machine, the whole thing. But the only thing, I started third shift, got enough seniority to go to second shift, got enough seniority I could go to the day shift, and I would have got that job probably. But I would have had to go back to the second shift, and I didn't want to do that. So, but anyway, got sidetracked again. Let me have a drink of Coke. Maybe that'll make me come to it. Oh, anyway, I answered this guy back, who didn't make me mad, by the way. It sounds like it made me mad, but it didn't. I don't get mad about things like that. I should have my hat on. You can see my skin cancer. Hang on a second. I'm going to pause this. Make sure yep, I'm back. Okay, so, oh my God, I forgot where I was again. Anyway, I entered this guy back, and I actually agreed with the guy that, I don't want to ask people for money, and even when I should, so, and like I said, I agree with the guy. I just have a problem with PayPal having that set up. Well, I don't have a problem with them. I mean, it's a way to, people can make some money. I mean, but anyway, let's see, phone. No. Would it be phone or would it be images? I think it'd be images. I don't know. Oh, camera. Yeah, oh, there. I think that will work, I think. And then I think I can go here. There it is. This is a terrible idea. Okay, let's see. Well, that's the freezer of our refrigerator. I don't know if you can tell. Okay, there you can tell. But it's... I guess I could zoom in, couldn't? Let me try that with the zoom here. Okay. Oops, where were we going? I hope Jimmy took that out of the freezer and put a Coke up there. I better go check it. I'll be done. Well, probably. So there's another one. That's not it. It's a fire truck. There's a fire truck. We have a fire station right. Maybe I can zoom that in. We're right near the fire station. Great opportunity, and I haven't taken advantage of it. I don't like to bother. Well, it'd be bothering them. I could, but every shift, I think the beginning of every shift, they go through everything and make sure that they. Okay, I took a picture of the entire refrigerator. That was okay. For some reason, that didn't take, I guess, because the rest of the refrigerator underneath the thing, there's nothing. I think there's 2 or 3 items there. So I am not, but still, I don't feel good about it. Oh, I started to take that off. This is the first time I've had the hat on with the headphone on. So I'm going to go here in a few minutes and to PayPal and delete the, well, unless I'm going to go check my email, and if somebody donated money, I'll just leave it run, because I am a poor man. Don't worry about the ex-wife. We live here, we share, I've been divorced for like 40 years, 40, not 4 years. And our grown son, who's 57, I think, he lives here. He doesn't share what the expenses of, but what are you going to do, huh? But we'll be okay, because she signed up for food stamps, and she gets food stamps. And so she'll order in some groceries, and we will eat. My problem is I cannot run out of Coke. I don't drink water. What's that thing from, what was it, not War Games, where the military commander of the air base or whatever that has launched his aircraft to bomb, Russia, says that he's stopping the uh, destroying of America by chlorine in the water or something, but that's not why I drink Coke. Dee Dee, you pushed the door open. Dee Dee's our cat. Dee Dee, if I had pants on, well, if Dee Dee's coming in here to get food, she has cat food. Oh, I better mention something. Well, one thing, you're in another country. Well, a lot of you in another country. Food stamps system. It's okay for her to get food stamp money and purchase, and for us to eat, for her son and for her ex-husband to, eat it or whatever. We're not violating any of the rules or whatever of that. I don't have anything. I eat the food. And now, not tomorrow. It's almost midnight. Now tomorrow we won't get any food. We won't have any food. Very little food. But I better go check to make sure that Coke hasn't frozen. I could only come up with some money for 3 2-liter bottles of Coke and a couple other items. I did go purchase some from Mexican type food from across the street. With my vision, by the way, it's not going to be till March that I get the surgery, whatever. But anyway, we will have food here. Tomorrow it'll be kind of lean, but there's always bread and butter and things like that to make it, and I can live off my fat. So I'm going to go now, and I'm going to upload this, and then I'm going to go and delete the thing. And because I actually agree with the guy. I think it should be okay, but I think what the problem is that PayPal has this massive thing that people are setting up. I think it'd be better if they somehow had, sick children, elderly people who need an air conditioner, or I think it'd be better to do it that way, because when I see it, now I didn't go pay any attention to it other than to set it up 3 times. Second time I killed it, and I'm going to kill it. Kill it again. I don't feel comfortable with it. So anyway, to my cell phone, this cell phone my daughter gave to me, Samsung something 9 or whatever. It's fantastic display and a whole bunch of things about it. But it just, I don't know. I have switched back and forth. I have Motorola. I have the stylus version, but it's not the 2023 version. It's the 2022 version, which is basically about the same as the 2023, that version. I have it. This one, I don't think it's defective, but it just drives me crazy with the stuff that it, does. I've mentioned this before numerous times. I think tonight, it's almost midnight, I think tonight I'm going to switch back over to the Motorola, because I think what it's doing, well, I watch Tech TV sometimes, Windows Weekly and those kind of things, and for some reason it came up, the Samsung cell phones, and they were talking about it, and they were saying that something about that they use a whole bunch of, Samson does a whole bunch of things, and I forget how they put it, but that it just overwhelms the system. I mean, I'm not saying that it makes it slower or makes it whatever, but it just, that they need some type of a discipline and say, this is, and so I think, although I'm getting tired, I got to go make sure that Jimmy took that bottle of Coke, or we're going to be, they're going to be short of Coke. Thank you very much for watching.